Hi, everyone. Welcome back to PlanFirst Live. I'm Sian Larkin, the Manager of Design Services at PlanFirst Design. We specialize in architectural, interior, and landscaping design, as well as interior decorating, engineering, and quantity surveying. With me today is Nick Lico. Nick, you can go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, Sian. I'm Nick Lico, operate a architecture renovation specialist firm in Wellington.
Today, we're going to be discussing flexible work from home spaces. Now, Nick, I don't know about you, but I think most of us during COVID, I think we all started off working on our dining room tables or our kitchen counters, thinking it was only going to be a week or two. And it actually turned out to be, for some of us, a couple of months. And I think that is really where the work from home space evolved and got traction. Do you agree?
Predominantly, yeah. There's obviously more people, significantly more working from home. One of the things we'll talk about is just even the evolution of the home computer. Even those of us who've been around long enough to see the computer become a home device and going from CRT monitors to wired internet to wireless solutions. That's a really interesting evolution, how the computer basically was a static purpose-built entity, and now the portability has changed the landscape as well.
Mm-hmm. I think also a lot of people, off the back of COVID, a lot of people do have flexible working hours and flexible days. So very few people go into the office 5 days a week, I find. I think most people do need some kind of dedicated space in their homes to do a bit of work, be it for a full day or part of a day.
Yeah, I tend to see that the people who are working from home, and we do see a lot of them, that they've certainly made our business a lot easier in terms of accessibility, because people are home. We can actually see them about their renovation projects during more conventional hours. Yes, and I do notice that people do actually seem to want a dedicated work area. They don't tend to want to just work, even if they are working off a laptop. They don't seem to want to work just off the kitchen table.
But it must also make your renovation work a little bit more difficult if the customer is at home the whole day and trying to work while you guys are banging away.
That's true. But in the renovation business, that's always been a consideration. It generally, I think the average family size is usually a 4-person household, which involves 2 children under 10. So renovation of any form of size is usually the stakeholders, the children, the pets, the adults. We generally, that's part of the mitigation plan.
Okay, well, let's dive into it. Okay, our topic for the day is flexible work from home spaces. And let's say, for instance, we're going to start with a blank canvas. So for those of us that are or lucky enough to have a room that could be dedicated to a function other than the living space or the bedrooms, there's different ways of obviously furnishing a room. But most people, I think, if they were going to do an office space in a blank canvas room like this one, I think a lot of people will tend to put their workspace against the wall, which really does limit you as to what you can use the rest of the space for. So always have a look at furniture placement before you make decisions on what furniture to buy. The other option for this specific room would be to put the furniture in the middle of the room. Immediately, you've got 3 people that can work not on top of each other. You've got a whole seating area against the wall. And you can also then at night, when nobody's actually working here, you can turn it into a gaming room. So that makes it quite flexible in use. Nick, any comments on that?
Yeah, an analogy, because we do so many projects in terms of volume, and we've got a lot of data historically. I'll explain why I'm mentioning this. When we design bathrooms, I always ask a customer, do you want to be able to see the toilet from the door if it's open? And it's a 50-50 split. Half of households don't care if the toilet's visible, the other half do. And the reason I mention that is I really like having an outlook, and I like the spaces you're showing that show the desks centralized. It feels very much to me like you're in school detention if you're facing the wall.
Yes.
Going based on customers' expectations, it surprised me, but they are the customer. 50% of work from home participants are more than happy to stare into a wall, and even more so, I'm surprised, but it doesn't cause them discomfort. They'll literally work in a closet.
Well, that is one of the very popular things at the moment, is what they call the cloffice. That is a real word, the closet office.
Yeah.
Later.
Yes.
So what we'll do today is we're just going to run through a couple of ideas, things that are popular at the moment. They don't take a lot of space. You can literally have a corner in your bedroom or your lounge that you could make a dedicated workspace. So if we have a look at the first one, it seems very obvious, but the fold-away desk, the wall desk. So next to the wall, when it's closed, it just looks like a panel. You wouldn't say that that was a workspace, but you can open it and quite comfortably work there. I wouldn't work there. I wouldn't say this is ideal for somebody that does work from home 2 or 3 days a week, but it's fine to do a couple of emails at night or early mornings, and then just fold it away again when you're finished. And this is the one, the built-in wardrobe office, which is referred to as the cloffice. And it can be in a bedroom, it can be in a lounge, pull-out table or desk. And when you finished working and you don't want to have your desk visible to you 24/7, so you can just close it up and nobody would even know that there is a desk in there. Nick, have you seen any customers that have actually asked you for something like this or not?
I haven't seen this, but what I like about this as well is along with work from home conditions, you see the adverts. There's a lot more commercial space that's been created for cohabitation, and this is based on the principle that people generally we're using a lot less paper, a lot more digital filing, and so the immediate workspace somebody needs is exactly like you're showing. If you've got a relatively small portable 11-inch computer, you don't need a big work surface.
No, not at all.
So it's changing quite a lot, and I don't think we'll see. I'm sure that like government agencies and big corporates will take some serious consideration. It's expensive real estate to basically provide each staff member the traditional square meterage that we used to. A 1.8 meter by 1.8 meter corner desk, for example.
What I've come across in the commercial sector as well is that they actually stagger their staff so that, you one day on, one day off. So they actually only need 50% of the space that they used to use.
100%. And the work from home thing, also, I think it's worth just keeping in mind, it is obviously only a sector of the working community that effectively can operate in that manner. But we're exploring with our site builders and our site managers. We do exactly that. And that's nothing new. Construction companies have done that for decades, where they have a hot desking model, and you basically just come back to the office in the afternoon and just find a space and take your laptop out and write your notes up. But you can do that from home now as well.
Yes.
So I don't think the work from home thing is only a condition of COVID. I think it is actually partly a case of the capabilities of our devices and their portability and how good the internet is.
Yes, that's actually very true, because I remember before the days of the laptop, you had a big tower and it wasn't really portable. So you had to come into the office to work because that's where your computer was.
Yes, and then I think one of the other things that evolved from there that I saw 10 to 15 years ago is there was a lot more concern initially about families and their children and how the internet ultimately was going to be managed in a home environment. Also, there wasn't as many portable devices, and so the internet tended to be a wired connection to that big box.
Yes.
So that tended to occupy some area in the living areas of the home. And I know that's starting to spread much further than this topic, but it's just absolutely remarkable now with not just wireless technology, but then the transmitters that allow the broadband to be at such high speeds throughout the house.
Yes.
And the fact that everybody's effectively using a device in multiple locations.
All right, let's move on to the next one. This is also very nice if you have a dedicated guest bedroom. Most of us don't have guests sleeping over, maybe, 2-3 times a year, I suppose. So it can be an office space most of the time. And when you do have guests over, you can have a Murphy bed that folds down. And it can quite comfortably be a guest bedroom. So that's a nice example of a dual working space. Next, shall we take some questions?
Sure.
Let's have a look at this one. Scott says, what's the best lighting for a flexible workspace?
Easy. Natural lighting.
Yeah.
I'm being serious. Meaning that obviously, again, it's that personal bias of I just can't handle the idea of staring into a wall. I'm astonished how many people are.
If you don't have an option and you have to stare into a wall, I would say just make sure you've got enough task lighting. Put a lamp next to your laptop.
True. Again, depending if people need to read documents, I think that's why a lot of our customers don't mind the literal work in a closet environment. The two devices are their mobile phone and their computer. The computer has an illuminated keyboard, so they actually don't have much need for artificial lighting. So the natural lighting is very much, I think, about I don't know quite how to call it, the healthiness or the fact we need natural light.
Yes. I would say natural lighting for everything, not just this topic.
Yeah, correct.
The next one is the corner office, which is maybe not what most of us aspire to in this instance, but it can work very well if you've got an unused space in a lounge area or in a bedroom. Just put a little corner desk in there with some lighting above or some shelving. And what's nice about the shelving is that you can have those task lights on your workspace. And if you are lucky enough to have enough space, you can put some bookshelves in too.
Yeah, that's a nice image.
Yes, that's quite tucked away. It's not bothering anybody, and it can actually be a dedicated workspace.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that one's reminiscent of that idea about when we used to do a dedicated computer desk in the side of a kitchen or dining area.
Yes.
That's a modern version.
What's nice about this as well is a lot of living spaces are open plan now. So you could have your living room, dining room, kitchen, office all in the same space. So the family is always together. If noise becomes a problem, you can just put your noise cancellation AirPods or whatever in, and Bob's your uncle. You can carry on working, no problems. I want to go to this question.
Sure.
How can I create a workspace that blends into my living room? Which is actually the topic that we're talking about at the moment. But what I would like to add to it is if you've got, for instance, in your lounge space, you might have an ottoman. Get an ottoman that's the storage, and you could store some of your work documents in that ottoman. So it can double up as a seating. You can put trays on it, like almost a coffee table, if I can call it that, and it can be storage. So it's just a clever use of functionality.
Oh, definitely. I think it's a great question. These are really good images you've got. I think it's a lot of fun. You know, multitasking thing. You know, people do all sorts of. You know, some people can handle watching TV while they're working. You know, while kids are noisy, and I think how the spaces blend is very much a condition of how people intend to negotiate and live in their homes. It's a bit of a follow up from last week's topic about intergenerational living.
Yes.
I was at a project this morning where the customer does want a dedicated niche for a laptop because the new open plan kitchen, they don't want to basically, both the parents do work from home. They don't want the kitchen island to become a pseudo desktop or a workstation.
I must say, from the customers that I see, I would say at least 50% of them ask for a dedicated workspace. But definitely, I find are moving away from using an entire room for a home office or a study. It's definitely more just a dedicated space, a small space where they can work.
Like the photos you're showing, really nice photos.
Well, this one, I love using space under a staircase. So you can see they've actually utilized the space pretty well, and they've given it some storage because we always need more storage, and then a small workspace next to that, which is particularly nice if you've got kids that are doing homework because it's not a big space, but it can absolutely, it's big enough.
That's a really affordable solution, that one, because you had to build it there anyway.
Got it there anyway, exactly, and so often that space gets wasted.
Correct. Yeah, very nice.
What is our next one? The window ledge desk. I wouldn't quite call this a desk, but you could definitely, sit there, or kids could lie there, and you could be on your iPad researching, writing something, replying to emails, and there you've got more natural light than you could ever want, Nick.
Yeah, this is it's an interesting photo. I haven't looked into this too much. I think we're still too awkward in workplaces to kind of enter this potential. The idea of actually people taking daytime naps at workplaces. I think if you probably ask people working from home, I bet you it's various individuals, it's probably suiting the way they want to basically have like a sleep cycle where it would, I think they'd be very awkward to go to say that, they wanted to have like a 20-minute nap.
Oh, it wouldn't be 20 minutes.
At home, though.
No.
Yeah. So there's all these other possibilities to suit people's lifestyles.
That is true.
And that's, I mean, the big companies like Amazon, that have introduced these things like literally full-size basketball courts in their work environments. Those are the steps towards acknowledging, that casualness, and that's where the cohabiting officers are doing it really well as well. That idea that people are literally lounging around as they work.
Well, a 20-minute power nap can be quite good under certain conditions.
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely.
This is one of my favorite images, and it actually shows that this particular customer has taken an artwork and they've used it as sliding doors. So when they're not at their desk, then they just slide it closed, and it actually becomes a feature in the room.
Nice.
And very similarly, you've got this one here, which is a little bit more formal with the timber slats, but it also opens up into a workspace. But I mean, you can see the difference. If you got guests over at night, you don't want this to be visible in your lounge space. And that is quite an acceptable solution to me. And then this one. This is lovely. The hidden in plain sight desk. So it just looks like a normal console when you're not working, but it slides open into a workspace when you are working. And you can see, Nick, this takes absolutely no additional space.
That's right.
And it's big enough to quite comfortably work with a laptop. Let's go into another question. Let's see, what is this?
While you're looking for that, oh, right, there you go.
How do I keep a flexible home office organized? Nick, would you like to jump into that one?
Yeah, I think your photos have been very, very representative of that. One of the things that most of these images are showing is these are single occupant user requirements. You had a slide right at the start, which I thought was great, which actually was a configuration for 3 people.
Yes.
I think I haven't seen much of this, which I'm a little surprised about. We're seeing a lot of the work from home, which is a condition of COVID. For small businesses in New Zealand, the district plans around most cities, the rule is that you can have up to 3 people working in a house. And a little bit surprised we haven't seen more of that, where you've got like three people working in a cluster of desks, like a dedicated room.
No, that's true. I haven't actually seen much of that. I've seen it once or twice, but not as a rule.
Yeah, so that does imply that the work from home has had to do more with providing flexibility for employees after COVID. But I do wonder with the market corrections that look like they're going to continue, if we actually start to see it as commercial leases start expiring, whether people will actually look at more cost-effective manners in terms of actually reducing rents.
Well, I think it's also, if you look at how much time you save through not having to commute to an office, it can save an hour or 2 each day.
Yes.
And that can be productively spent doing work. I know of companies that only work 4-day weeks for that exact reason. You work a couple of hours extra. And if you're going to be doing that, you need to make sure that your workspace is comfortable. And you've got everything that you need there. It can't be an uncomfortable makeshift space.
No.
This is particularly good for kids. They've got their little ladder up to their bed, and then they've got all that space that they can sit and do homework, they can do projects, they can do tasks, which normally does get done at the kitchen table. So now that takes it into the room, and they've got the rest of their room that they can actually have space to play, put a couch or a chair.
That's what we need in the office, not kids in their bedrooms. That's like the ultimate office setup for every employee.
You just want to have your power nap, Nick.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, and then modular furniture, I would say in closing, before we go to the rest of the questions, is try and keep the especially if you're using it as a dedicated room, try and keep it modular, the furniture, because then you can quite easily change use of the room. This could be your office space today, and in 9 months' time, it could look like this.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So
that's a leading kind of potentially. I'd have to treat carefully with that proposition.
The modular furniture has stayed exactly the same. Wow. It's just the furnishings that have changed. Nice. So I would say that's really the secret to versatile office space, and just using every square meter that you've got. Let's go back to some other questions. I think this one we've covered already. Well, let's go to this one. How can smart technology improve a flexible workspace? And I think you touched on that with wireless, Nick.
Yeah, all those things we mentioned, I think, about wireless portability, it's helped a lot. And, I think all those images you're showing, they're very small footprints.
Yes.
And,
yeah.
As you say, all those, the surface area of most of those desks you're showing is reflective of that condition that we're talking about, portable computers.
I think what is important, though, is if you are going to be, even if it's a small space that you're going to be using for your home office, just make sure that you do have enough socket outlets.
True. Yeah.
Because the batteries don't last forever. So, if you constantly have to charge your laptop somewhere else, that is disruptive. So I think sockets, make sure you've got a, quite nice Wi-Fi speed. And lighting. Okay, I think maybe one or two more, unless you've got some other comments, Nick, that you want to add on to that we haven't touched on.
Oh, good. We've covered a good range.
What do you see in your refresh business? What is the biggest requirement people have for home offices? Just to have a nook.
I think, as you said, dedicated space rather than flexible. Yeah,
and what would the size be generally that they look for?
Very small. Very good images you presented. I think they just completely cover that spectrum. We're literally talking about 1 meter wide type desks, with potentially as shallow as like 600 millimeters.
So really, just enough space for a laptop and a cup of coffee.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. So the as I said, the tech is very instrumental in that the laptop devices with the full high resolution that they have, people users are more than comfortable to not have a dedicated screen. They don't need to have a 24 to 32 inch monitor device.
Nick, thank you for joining us today. And our topic, very apt for this time of the year, is outdoor spaces that feel like a holiday. Nice. So that'll be a fun topic going into December.
Wow.
And we look forward to everyone joining us again. For the questions we didn't get to, I apologize, but we will try and get to everything next week. Again, feel free to reach out. You guys should have our 0800 number and Facebook and Instagram by now. So feel free to drop us the line anytime. Nick, thank you. And we will see each other next week.
Awesome. Thank you. Take care.